Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my love.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us. And I'm really excited to see what you guys do in 2025.
Me too.
And I have so many questions for you. I don't even know where to start. I think I'll start with, how many years is it since we were in New York? Because I had 3 years?
Yeah, 2.5, 3, something like that.
And lots changed in that time frame.
A lot.
At the time, you were part of something different than Studio Blake. Tell us a little bit about kind of that transition, the time, the timeline, and how you ended up founding Studio Blake.
So, I was a part of Hella Design Studio,
Right.
and my business partner was Breanna and Rihanna. Love that.
Yeah, B and Ree.
B and Ree, yeah. And honestly, it was a super clean break. We decided that we were just growing in different directions, and we had the opportunity to split before there was like any animosity, any hard feelings. We're still a part of the same designer group. We could meet once a month and chat, and we're still each other's, I think, biggest cheerleaders.
Nice.
Which is, I think, really uncommon. So, but man, I learned so much in the 7 years that we had Hella. We had so many cool opportunities, from like working with the Property Brothers to working with extremely niche sort of customized projects. And that's where you and I met. So that was February of last year, we split.
Got it.
And I started Studio Blake.
Very cool.
And in that time, we've gone from just me running like a chicken with my head cut off in 22 projects to now we're a team of 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats on the growth.
Thank you.
And on New Horizons. I think that's really cool that you had the gusto to start your own thing and chose to forge your own path, and that you were able to maintain a relationship with a previous partner, because that's super rare.
It is, yeah.
One of the things that I think I recognize in you is your hunger for knowledge and for new products, new experiences. I remember when you started Studio Blake, we had lunch and you reached out right away just to pick my brain on all things industry, business, tools. I think I gave you a list of 125 books to read.
Yeah, I burned through them.
And I thought, she'll never read anything. And then 6 months later, hey, by the way, I finished all those books. Can I get another list? Did you actually read all those books?
Yeah, okay, maybe not all of them.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot that I had already read. There were some that just didn't jive with the way that I was approaching this, now the new business.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really hungry for knowledge, especially in the way that I've built this rendition of the business. I'm very specific in understanding that this is a business, first and foremost. And I will say with Hella, I felt it very personal, and I took criticism and feedback as super personal, because this is a creative business. When I say something or I deliver something to a client and they're like, oh, it's just not quite what I was hoping, daggers.
Right.
Absolute daggers, because I was like, oh my God, I really poured my heart and soul into this thing and you don't like it? That sucks. And now having the perspective of, oh no, I'm not a mind reader. I'm just doing the best that I can and taking feedback as room to grow, and every single piece of feedback as a learning opportunity and a way to make new systems. It's a complete mindset shift from what I was previously doing.
And I think that that's something that not a lot of creatives can do effectively. So whether it was, some of our relationship and the resources I gave you, I know you met, 10 of your other contacts and kind of downloaded what you could from them. What are some of those super key takeaways or foundational principles that have allowed you to make that mindset shift and to start to approach things more from the business side in parallel with the design side instead of leading with design?
Okay. I'm going to try not to say anything that's offensive. Or swear too much. So I think how to word this appropriately. There are people with less resources and less knowledge and less experience doing way more. And my thought process very simply was, if they can do it, I can do it. If not me, someone else is going to do it. If I'm not going to put myself out there and take all of my contacts for coffee, alcohol, and say, yo, you work with me now, like someone else is going to do it. Right. So it's taking the step to say, I'm here and I have the knowledge and I have everything that you need to make the project successful. And then looking at every single roadblock and making it gone immediately. If something is available that I can throw money at to make it go away, I'm going to do it. So whether or not that's a program, right? Like we talked about this, I think in the very beginning, was getting systems and programs in place so that communication is easy, so people can trust you. So there aren't as many questions. And anytime I got a question or a piece of feedback, I just made it so that that was actioned immediately. Right. Because when people complain, and this was something that I learned in the restaurant industry, people are going to come to your restaurant 100 times. Right? And the one time that someone complains, you have to treat that like there are 10 other people behind them thinking the exact same thing. Because no one's coming to you and saying the good stuff. Right? Everyone's going to come to you with a problem. So if one person is experiencing,
it's likely it's happened or happening somewhere else.
Exactly. Right. So we nip it in the bud immediately. And we make that the content of all of our team meetings now. So when we meet every Tuesday at like 10 a.m., which you're interrupting, by the way, we sit down and we talk about, okay, like what were some of the things that we struggled with this week and how do we make it gone so it never, ever happens again and we just are better than everyone else in the game.
And I think we see like more and more people moving towards that like template process documentation mindset, which I think is really cool because I think the industry needs it as a whole so that we on the whole can develop and produce better quality results for clients, which will push the industry forward. You said that, if I can throw some money at a problem, if I can do more with less, or if I can do more on my own with my team, I'm going to approach things that way. I think that's really interesting because I think, we're in a literal like technological revolution with what's happening with AI right now. That's only going to continue to accelerate. And so have you found any useful tools? Are you implementing and testing different things inside your process in that sphere? And have you found anything that's like an aha moment that's kind of helping you leverage the size of your team to tackle the volume of work that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so one of the things that we consistently do through all projects is 3D modeling. It's a non-negotiable because I have yet to have a client that can accurately visualize something just based on 2D drawings. Right. So we build everything in SketchUp. That for us is the tool that most people are taught in. It's quite easy to get a handle on and populate in a way that is like a cartoon version of your home. But we've taken it one step farther and we're just integrating Enscape, which is a rendering software within that program. The reason we're doing that is because it gives a little bit more of a lifelike feel and can sell a client on a vision right off the hop. So we might not render the whole home in a like super realistic way, but I'm going to give them like the ballin' view, really like the money shot in fully rendered perfection, so that we get buy-in, right? So we're doing that. We're also, we've integrated a program called Breanna, which is our like project management software. So we're doing all of that. And then trying to figure out ways that we can integrate different programs into that itself.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You have a like fantastic relationship with your clients in terms of any of the clients I've met with you. There's always like fun and light. How have you been able to kind of cultivate that as part of your culture to have that like kind of human connection side as well? Along with some of the more technical aspects of design?
I think that comes from my dedication to be who I am at all times, regardless of who I'm talking to. So, some clients like you want to be a little bit more formal with, but who I am with you is who I am with my husband, is who I am with my friends, is who I am, who I am, who I am. So if at the end of the day or at the end of a meeting, I joke and say, oh my God, I want a glass of wine so badly, and the client isn't immediately on board, I'm like, this is probably not a good fit. So it's an interview both ways as well. I am also really clear with my team. I cause us enough anxiety. We don't need clients doing that as well.
Right.
So if a client is not understanding of our timelines, is crossing boundaries, isn't like fully bought in with who we are, it's probably not a good fit. So it has to be good on both sides, which is, I think, why so many of my clients are cool, are fun, are likable people. I really pride myself in like cultivating that if it's not there right away.
Got it. Because you kind of lead with that authenticity. And then if it's not a fit from a personality perspective, then you guys don't proceed with the project.
Yeah.
Right.
And
because it has to be fun. It has to be productive. You guys have to make money.
Yeah.
And they have to have a good experience.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And if we can't get trust in a way that's meaningful, and by trust, I do mean like actual connection, sharing some personal details, but not everyone is going to be my best friend, but like that's the goal. I want to end the project so that I can call them and be like, so are we drinking today? Like, can I come over? Can we celebrate? Like, what's happening?
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? Am I coming? Like, I want to be invited. That's always the goal. So if we can't get buy-in with trust immediately, oh my God, it's going to be so hard to build that through the process.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the reasons that you've seen success in such well, I shouldn't say a short window because you were paying your dues for 7 or 8 years before, but since going out and doing your own thing, that you've had such resounding success in the first year? Why do you think that is?
I'm not afraid. And I struggled with that for a long time. Whether that is, whether it was fear in like feeling like I didn't deserve to be at the table. Some people would call that like imposter syndrome. Whether it was fear of money, being able to support my team, myself, what my future would look like at the end of every month. I remember sitting down, especially in the 7 or 8 years that we had Hella, and being like, I don't know, like, are we going to get any more projects ever? Like, this is it. This is the month we close down. Well, I'm a fraud. I can't do this. I just don't feel that way anymore. And that comes back to that mental shift, which was at the very beginning, like, people with way fewer resources are doing way more, and I can do better. I know I can. I've proven myself. So I'm just not afraid. Like, taking on this office space was a huge financial risk. Huge. This is like tripling my overhead to be here, but build it and they will come, man. Like, we're here. We're doing this interview here. Like,
Beautiful.
the space is getting used. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Like, I love it here. And coming in here every day and knowing that I built this, I made this happen, it only reaffirms my confidence. So.
Well, if there's anything we can do to support you, we will.
Yeah, I know.
I
know. I'm gonna call you.
On that note, what are some of the things that you look for in trade partners?
So first off, if anyone comes to me with like a recommendation, awesome. Because if someone's recommending you, me, whatever, like, that already tells me a lot. I look for the same things that I offer. How are your communication skills, and your ability to follow through? Are we able to have like a pretty honest conversation? And if I hold myself to a standard and hold you to a standard, are we crumbling, or are we rising up and like able to talk things through? Right. I really appreciate when, especially as a woman in this industry, and I don't want to underplay how hard it is at points to be a female person coming into construction sites, because it can be absolutely wild. I very much appreciate when men go out of their way to have yes and conversations with me. because my experience as a young woman in this industry was younger, I should say.
You're
Younger
still
woman.
young.
Thank you. I know. My braces make me look like I'm 12. I know. As a younger woman in this industry, being talked to or talked down to by men
Okay.
all the time was the worst. It made me feel so small, and I just don't let that happen anymore. But being able to approach conversations with contractors where they're like excited, where they want to do cool shit, where they're not afraid to like come up against some challenges, and we can collaborate and grow and like talk through things rather than being like, fucking designer doesn't know what she's doing.
Right.
Like, I've seen that, I've experienced that. That sucks from a client perspective, from a designer perspective. So it has to be clear communication, the follow through, and the collaboration.
And the respect.
Yeah.
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 And I think, I work with a lot of different designers, and the value you guys bring to projects is, sometimes almost impossible to communicate in terms of not just the creative direction, but even the technical execution of this stuff getting put together. And I hope that more and more trades and more contractors will recognize that and seem to be recognizing that.
Yeah, they are.
It does feel kind of like the winds are shifting, and the importance of having a design lead on a project is becoming more prevalent. Communication is generally improving with some of the trades. And that your guys' worth and value is being like highlighted and recognized, which is exciting. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot, like, and seeing a lot in the industry, is that in general, trades, contractors, and designers are willing to collaborate more and share information more, which is, you mentioned that you're part of a design group. Can you just tell me a little bit about like how you get value out of the community, how you contribute and give back to the community, and just, how important that is to the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think in the last 5 years, especially, I've seen a lot of designers have the desire to come together, because the reality is that we're all out here doing our own thing, a lot of the time in silo. You can call yourself an interior designer just because you woke up one day and decided to call yourself a designer.
Right.
So there's this confusion, both like through the public, but also from a design side. Okay, I have this schooling, but not that. I have an NCIDQ, but like, does it really matter? Like, you have this really confusing level of expertise in the industry, and the people who have very similar expertise and very similar level of education are starting to come together and be like, hey, how much are you charging? Because we don't want to lose out because our prices were too high or too low. We want to lose out because it just wasn't a good fit.
Right.
Right? Like, let's take the money off the table. So we talk about how much we're charging. And a lot of the time, it's us as a group meeting and saying, you're charging too little. You have to raise your prices. A lot of the times, it's sharing like how we present things to clients. One of the conversations that I had with the group a couple of weeks ago was how I present furniture packages to clients, and how I eliminate some of the obstacles that I've come across where clients harp on one piece of furniture being like too expensive. And it could be a side table, right? Like, they're like, oh, that's a $500 side table. I could never. I'm going to go on Wayfair or Marketplace and like find something that's like half the price. Okay, that you do you, but like, I don't need you to harp on the $500 coffee table or side table. I need you to look at the room as a whole and like, is that worth 15 grand to you? So we're talking about ways to eliminate some of those roadblocks. We're looking at ways that we present. We are going to have a conversation about our contracts and go through and like redline and like basically redline and pass and like take what we can from each other's contracts to make the process more seamless. Like, it's invaluable.
Why do you think we're starting to see that emergence of a willingness to collaborate and create community? Because having been in the industry for 20 years, that definitely wasn't the case even 7, 8 years ago. And I find like I don't know if it was COVID, if it was happening before COVID, and now it's just like very obvious, but there's definitely been a shift. And why do you think that is?
I think it's because there are so many designers in this city in particular who are working by themselves, right? Like we have so many designers who are like operating under their own name. So it's sort of assumed that it's them and a small team, or it's just them. And while it's really awesome to just work by yourself for yourself and like do your own hours and things like that, it's also really nice to be a part of something that is better for the whole.
Gotcha.
Right? Like
Yeah.
we all want each other to succeed. There's enough work for everyone. We're not in competition with each other, even when we're bidding on the same project. Like we get it. We understand that there's not always a fit for me. There's going to be a fit better somewhere else. So it's taking that competition off the table and just allowing everyone to rise.
To thrive.
Mm-hmm.
What tell us a little bit about where you think the future of the industry is going to be in 2 to 5 years.
I think we're going to see, I think there's a craving for more community and more connection. So I think we're going to see maybe some designers join forces. I don't know what exactly that will look like, whether or not they're like taking on the project together and just splitting the fees, or if people are going to be merging into smaller companies, because it's hard to navigate this world on your own. I do see that there's going to be a rise in some AI technology. I don't think anything crazy though. Like, yeah, from a production side, sure. Like, Lord, if I never have to do another AutoCAD drawing, amazing. But there will always need to be that human element. So like our job isn't going anywhere. I also think that there will be sort of this division, and there is already to a certain extent, of like a luxury interior designer versus someone who is like really approachable to the mass consumer. So I think like a really good example of that is Studio McGee, right? Like everyone kind of likes their stuff. It's kind of like middle of the road. People feel like it's attainable because it's really homey and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the like super luxury designers. So I think we're going to see that split more, and then a rise of like the middle designer who's like, we're custom in a way that's interesting, but we're not like breaking the bank. Our expertise is sort of in the middle.
Very cool. And what about the projection or the roadmap for you guys? Where do you guys see your company going?
So I think we're really succeeding in that middle ground. I think that we will be a part of a lot of development because the city is growing in a way that's really interesting, and there's lots of like infills and multiplexes and things like that coming up just because of the need in the city. So I see our growth both in the like helping developers side, because we're really well connected in that area, but also really focusing on the furniture and luxury clientele, because that seems to be where our market is growing. As we wrapped up 2024, I would say the majority, if not all of our projects that were like still ongoing were furniture projects, which is insane. Not at all what I have ever done. We've always been construction and design forward. So doing this like furniture stuff is really cool, and an interesting way to grow. But yeah, it's like just an ebb and flow of the business itself, which is cool. Yeah.
What's it like working with contractors and builders primarily? Do you find that it's a blessing and a curse because of some of the personalities? Or is it all just sunshine and rainbows?
You know it's not all sunshine and rainbows, you ass. No, I mean, everyone has their struggles, right? Like, just like a relationship with a client, not every contractor is going to be a great fit for me. But I really do my best to show my clients, if they come to me directly, which thankfully a lot of them do.
And is that a client's coming to you directly and then you're linking them with somebody from the network of contractors? Or is it reversed where typically you have a relationship with a contractor, they have a client, and you're the designer of preference?
So it it used to be when I was starting out my business that it came directly from contractors, because when I started my business, that's all I was doing. I was taking contractors out to coffee and being like, hello, I'm really good. Please hire me. Oh my God.
Give me a shot.
Like, please. And thankfully, as the business grew, we were able to reciprocate. And so we were able to have clients come directly to us, and we sort of give the
These are
the
our,
lay of the land, and show them the contractors that we really love to work with. And it's still that way. So clients
a bit of both.
typically,
Okay.
they typically come directly to us, and then we can spread the wealth a little bit and introduce them to a couple of contractors we really love. That said, I always like to make new friends in this industry. So the first thing I do if a client is introducing me to a new contractor is we go out and we meet for a coffee or a drink or
Learn about their process and what their history is like.
Yeah. And I try to set the standard of we're a team. So whenever, and this is even with my conversation with clients as well, when I meet with a client for the first time, I explain to them that I'm their liaison. So I try my best to be as involved as I possibly can during the whole process. Sometimes budgets don't allow for that, but I try to be there every step of the way so that when something comes up, because it always comes up, the contractor comes to me. We discuss the problem, we collaborate on a couple of solutions, and then we present those to the client. And that just makes for a better process and a better experience for the client, right? Because it sucks to
And it
be...
enhances both of your brands.
Yeah. So I say that to both my clients and the contractors. Like, this is how I expect this to work because this is my expertise. I don't want my client to be bothered with this. We want to protect the experience as much as we can.
And when you protect that experience and with that relationship intact with both the client and the contractor, and you're showing up on Sunday for spaghetti and wine and everything's rosy, it probably feels really good.
It feels amazing.
It feels amazing.
That's success, right? Like, that's the success of the business.
And you've built a successful business and a successful brand. And one of my last questions for you is, around branding and marketing and social media. And so even in your previous company, something that we noticed is how strong your social media presence was, how online you were, how transparent you were, sharing the good, the bad, the ugly. I spilled my coffee on myself, or look at this beautiful reveal, or this thing came broken from the supplier, or whatever it was. And I think that's really cool. So just talk to me a little bit about, your social media strategy, some of the things that you think are important to do in the design world, but in business as a whole, to stay relevant online and in the new sphere of social media and marketing, and how that, helps build your brand.
It's really tricky for me because I have a hate-hate relationship with social media. While I like being on stories, I really like talking at the camera. I really like, oversharing. I have a really hard time developing a strategy in a meaningful way to show up and be consistent. I go through these 6-month cycles where I'm like, yeah, I love this. I'm going to be famous. This is amazing. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get so many followers. And then the next 6 months, I'm like, oh my God, shoot me. I would rather, I would rather die than show up and have to be happy and excited. And, it just sort of reflects this natural ebb and flow of whatever. So honestly, it's my goal this year to be more consistent and not allow those ebbs and flows to affect the way I show up in marketing. One of the things that I try to do in all of the social media that we do is stay who I am all the time, to give information in a way that is approachable and meaningful, and build trust with clients before they even have a chance to interact with me. That's always the toughest piece, right? I want people to have me into their home and feel like they kind of already know me because they've watched my stories. The posts and the reels are kind of fluff, right? It's all the pretty stuff and whatever. The stories is more fun.
The true B.
Yeah. Getting food stuck in my teeth and be like, oh my God, okay. I did a whole meeting like this. No one told me. Oh my
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I think I want to know a couple of things. I want to know why now for the concert
Yeah.
series. Um, and I want to know how you picked the people that you wanted to be in the series, besides the fact that you love me, I know. And then I also, I want to know how you're taking steps to grow
Yeah.
in the next year. So 3 questions.
Sure. So why now with the concert series? I think, we started reflecting last year. We've done very little marketing over the last 11 years, and have grown the business based on word of mouth, networking, relationships, showing up, doing the right thing, providing customer service, solving unique problems for our clients. And the business continues to grow organically that way. But we started looking at, where do we want to be in 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years? And I think that in general, the industry as a whole has been very secular, and most people, especially on the trade side, are just showing products. Here's my new blinds, here's my new wall covering, here's this new lighting control system, and have been really focused on just like the products that they sell as a company and not on the people. And so when we were kind of evaluating what the next phase of Sonata looks like, it was really about creating community, and creating a lens into the industry as a whole. And so we chatted with our marketing team and our media team and said, what can we do that's different? And we came to the realization that no one's really highlighting the people that move the industry forward. And, it's not so much about making money and hoping that people see the concert series and come to our website and book an appointment. It's about, just letting people know how much work goes on behind the scenes, with our primary clients, which are interior designers, decorators, home builders, contractors, renovators. So it was about kind of creating that transparency and awareness. And then how do we select who we were going to put on the series? I think, we wanted to start with people that we know make an impact, people that think a little bit differently, people that we work with, clients of ours, that we have either worked with in the past or have an ongoing relationship with, and that I think have an interesting perspective and something to share.
And obviously look adorable
And
on
are
camera.
just, gorgeous every day, regardless. I think that, we have some really cool upcoming ones. Like we're sitting down with Bull Valley College and we're doing a panel with a bunch of professors.
Oh, cool.
We have a conversation with a politician coming up. And so just kind of like people that I think are impactful in the space is kind of the short answer. And then, if there's also the opportunity to promote clients of ours that we work with, then that's a win as well, because, you guys promote us and go to bat with us for your, in the market. And if we can return that and reciprocate that, then that would obviously also be a goal of the series. And then in terms of how we're looking to grow in the future, I think, we're going to continue to do all the same things we do now, by carrying lots of different brands and offering unique solutions and solving problems for our designers and our builders that other companies just can't or won't, tackle, because that's been successful to date. And then I think we are going to put a little bit more time, energy, and resources towards all things digital. And so that includes the concert series, developing, resources on YouTube, that will be free for people to access information on our products, and eventually moving more and more towards the services side of the business, where we'll have a consultancy that helps people in our niche, trades, and then even designers and builders eventually with all things process, digital media, AI, and some of the stuff that we focus on in continuous improvement today.
So with the consulting side, I know this is something that I briefly talked to you about in on a phone call.
Yeah.
Why not just do a franchise? Why not just say, hey, listen, the consulting firm is the beginning. It feels like you're sort of dipping your toes into if that's possible.
So the thing that is really interesting is with a franchise, there's a like significant level of legal complexity in terms of like you have to have the same name, you have to have a system, and you have to have a fee, basically. And we want to provide the system and charge a fee and allow people to build their own brand. So if somebody has a company that's existed for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they just want to take it to the next level or put it on autopilot, or if they're just getting started in the industry and they just want to improve, but they really do want to maintain their brand, that's why we're going down that path. And in terms of like the value that we'll provide, it's like I haven't found a lot of people that I think can do this at the level we can. And I actually think there's a huge opportunity for this in the design space as well, because there's a couple designers that are doing some of this, like process, branding, technology hybrid, and helping people like coach and upscale their business. But I think that there's a massive need for it, because a lot of designers I talk to, when I share the tools that we use and I send them the links of what books they should be reading or videos or podcasts they should be listening to or watching, or these tools that they should be testing out, whether that's CRM or design or production, they're like, whoa, this is amazing. Thanks, Ty. And I really think that, if I was an interior designer and that was my core business, that I would have an even deeper understanding of how you could apply some of those. So I think there's a space in which a design collective or a group of people could do that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the most interesting things of like Sean being a realtor is his CRM program. He's like, oh my God, it just reminded me to follow up with so-and-so and they're ready to buy. That's amazing. Like, what program was that?
Exactly, right?
Like, oh my God, that's so, but it's such a small piece of what makes a business successful. If you can just remember to follow up with people, oh my God, how many projects are we missing out on? Yeah.
Show up, stay true to your word, put customers first, and operate with integrity, and you'll be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the integrity piece that
some people are missing.
Some. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Before we go, tell me a story. Tell me 2 stories. Tell me a story about you overcoming obstacles and achieving success in a difficult situation. And tell me a story about something that was unsalvageable and how you made the best of it.
Okay. So I had I'll go with the second first. So unsalvageable relationship. This relationship had deteriorated to the point where communication just was totally unproductive. It was with a contractor, and I had a very close relationship with the client. And, it got to a point where I almost felt like I couldn't talk to the client because things were so bad on the construction side. So every time I reached out, it was like new bad information was coming to the surface. I couldn't be the client representative anymore because the contractor couldn't talk to me or wouldn't talk to me, so I couldn't relay things. So it was the client coming to me and saying all the bad stuff, which you never want. But unfortunately, it got to that spot, and I didn't allow my feelings to get in the way of what I knew was the right thing to do. Like just constantly checking in when the client would tell me something bad was happening, like being there. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I want to be there for you if there's anything I can do, and just staying consistent. And then I sent her a bottle of tequila.
Nice.
Because when shits get bad, sometimes
you need a drink.
Sometimes you just need to have tequila. But that, like getting that message from her and being like, oh my God, I just got the bottle. You're so funny. Thank you. Like, you are welcome. Save me some because I will be there.
Talk to me about this bad boy.
Oh, I fucking love that project.
What's going on here?
What is going on there? So that was our first big project with Hella. We were referred to that client through an architectural technologist. And it was the first time where we established a fee that was actually like legit. Like before that, we had been charging like peanuts because you're just trying to get a portfolio and trying to get things started. So it was the first time where I think we priced ourselves appropriately. We gained the trust of the clients super quickly, and like we just had the opportunity to do really cool stuff. They were right on the lake, on Lake Bonavista. The views of that home were like astounding. And when we walked through the home for the first time, it was like pristine 60s vibes. I'm talking like blue carpet, mirrored walls, red carpet in the primary bedroom and up to the tub. Oh yeah, like swan faucets. It was incredible. And people ate it up. Like we would post about this house on the gram and gain like 10 or 15 followers because people just could not believe that it existed in Calgary in that kind of condition. And it gave us this incredible launching off point because the client had a realistic budget. They were taking their sweet time, and it was so creatively fulfilling. It was a project that, because we had them for so long, Breanna and I alternated taking point. So like she took point on like the living room area. I took point on the kitchen, and we just like tossed them back and forth.
Cool.
And we didn't miss a beat. Like it was peak hella before the COVID. Things were really good in the economy. Like it was just such an amazing time. Yeah, I like will forever think of that house as like the house that built
Do you have any
hella.
of the pictures with the red and blue carpet?
Probably, but like I literally have to dig up the old Dropbox from hella.
Yeah, find it.
All right, I will.
Tell us something that the public doesn't know about interior designers or the industry as a whole.
What doesn't the public know about interior designers? We think about our projects literally day and night. I have dreams about them. I will have full conversations with clients in my dreams. It's wild. Just with being a creative person, it's hard to shut that off. So, you know, I'm constantly thinking about projects throughout the day and how the clients are doing, and like I carry that shit so deep inside of me. I will think about clients and be like, oh my God, I haven't asked them about their baby. I haven't asked them about how things are going with their mom. And like that's not normal. People don't go home from their 9 to 5 and they're like, oh my God, I feel guilty that I didn't ask Susie at the water cooler about her family. That's not normal. But we get to this point in our relationships with our clients that like we're designing the intimate details of their life. So I know where they're going to put their socks. I know a lot about these people. And so like we really do. We carry the emotional baggage of the project and the like the ins and outs of the finer details as well. So that drives a lot of our decision making, and that interview process of understanding a client and how they live their life informs a lot of the decision making. So, you know, we're not just making a random decision. That's why it's so hard when a client changes their mind on something, because I know in my mind that I made that decision because, you know, they have tough mobility with this and they like really like travel. So I want to make sure their suitcase is like on the bottom shelf. And when they change things, I forget why I made that decision sometimes because I haven't written down all of that. I just carry it with me. So when a client changes their mind and they're like, oh no, you know what? We're just going to have the luggage in the basement. And inside of my soul, I'm like, why is that a bad idea?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's constant. It's constant. But yeah, I would say that that's something that they don't know.
Is there anything you're seeing or working on, implementing? It doesn't necessarily have to be something you guys are deploying, but is there anything you're seeing in the industry in terms of trends, things that are kind of becoming more commonplace or more timeless? Like what's going on in the world of design that we're seeing happen or we're going to continue to see to happen for a really long time?
Yeah, I think the last 10 years, it's safe to say, we whitewashed our homes. We took out all the personality and we took out all of the things that make a home in broad senses and in little ways out of fear. We have experienced a lot of economic turmoil in the last 10 years, and there's a lot of uncertainty. People have experienced a lot of loss. And as a result of that, we sort of did this like 180 where we're like, we'll just do a white kitchen because I don't know if I'm going to be here for that long, and resale value is really important to me. Yo, if you're going to be in your house more than 10 years, like you're going to want to change it anyway. So like, let's just do the green kitchen. So it's been a working struggle to get clients to see that their home isn't like, it's not necessarily an investment
Just
in the
an
way that they're
asset.
thinking that way. Yeah, it's not just an asset. It's the place where they live. You don't necessarily want your home to be open. We're seeing the desire for people to have more intimate spaces. And you can look at any trend forecasting for interior design or fashion, and they'll tell you the same thing. People are done with being able to smell their dinner from the kitchen all the way on the other side of their house. So there's this desire for some separation. We want warmth. We want to feel cozy. This is very nerdy and like probably too much, but there is a greater response to economic uncertainty. So we can see this in like the history of design. When you look at what happened when there was World War I, World War II, and the depression that came, and then the response to that was blue appliances, yellow appliances. We wanted joy, we wanted happiness because we had lived through so much horror that we were like, nope, I'm happy now and we have to show it everywhere and this is what I'm all about now. And so we see that ebb and flow in the economy, in design, in fashion. It's really interesting to see the fact that we lived through COVID. We experienced being stuck in our homes in the whitewash. And now that we're doing a little bit better, we want warmth. We want tones of wood. We want layers. We want materials. We want to feel like, okay, I can relax here and not be stuck here.
Got it.
Yeah.
I have to ask, why do you like working with Sonata?
I love you. No, like straight up. I say this a lot when I'm chatting with, like, don't get shy. You're lovely. I say this a lot about any of my suppliers. If I am maintaining a great relationship with someone, that's the most important thing. I mean, yes, you have to follow through. You have to do your job. You have to know your stuff. But man, like that's bare bones. The fact that I can call you and you're like, what up? Oh, you answered me on the first ring? Like, I love that. So, that's why I keep coming back. Your educational tools are just like the cherry on top. The fact that I can bring my team in and be like, hi, we need a 30-minute rundown on what drapery we need to spec for clients and how much space we need to allow is just like amazing. So you, and then the things you do.
Yeah, cool. Sick. Nailed it. Thanks, B. That was a good one.
You're welcome, dude.
Woo!